God damn it. It's happened. It's fucking happened. Twitter has copied that crappy censor-bot social media site Candid. They've started doing that annoying shit I was worried about everyone on fucking YouTube giving the thumbs up to for cash. This shit, where it tells you how many posts there are somewhere, but only shows you some of them. In this case, says there are 7, shows you 2. Now Twitter is doing the exact same shit everywhere. It'll tell you there are a ton of replies, show you 4. Or more, or less, depending on whether you're logged in or logged out or have a direct link to these comments, and so on. Why have they done this annoying bullshit? Well, to hide abusive or low-quality tweets. Based on God knows what Twitter uses to decide what's a low-quality tweet or not. And all this, you see, is to enable conversation. Where have I heard that justification before? Oh yeah, in an email Candid's CEO sent me, telling me they use AI to remove low-quality, meaningless posts which prevent candid conversation. So basically the exact same shit Twitter's now pulling. Why can't we get as angry at this as people have gotten before at Reddit pulling this crap? Why isn't this more of an outrage? Our future is being filtered before our very eyes. New ways of communicating have it. The ones that have been around for a while and have a huge user base are implementing more and more of it. It is becoming the done thing. Now, some people are pretty pissed, which is lovely to see, but there's not as much fury as I would hope for. Or maybe things have just been meddled with in a way that makes it look like that to me. In any case, whatever it is, I think it's important to say as many times as you can, this is kind of a big deal. The modern methods of people getting their ideas out there, of being heard by the masses, are being tampered with in a creepy way. This is sci-fi horror playing out before my eyes. But hey, at least it's a good thing no one you'd expect to fight this kind of sensorial shite is sponsored by either of these companies. No one would sign a contract with like Twitter or Candid or Facebook, would they? Knowing how important these kinds of platforms and what they do are to speech today, right? Because otherwise, any company using this kind of system might get off easy, might not get as much criticism, because if they slam one company's system, they're indirectly slamming the other that they're sponsored by. Good thing there's no way anything like that could happen. Anyway, onto something a bit more serious. Free speech is fucked. It really is. It is so fucked, you wouldn't believe it. It's like a 40-year-old porn star. We've seen a sort of shift from old media controlling narratives and all that good stuff in the news to new media, but what was waiting for us was a foolproof worldwide cage. Show me a site that doesn't fuck with what you can see in a way that you can't figure out or break through, and I'll show you a site that no one's really using. All the major platforms screw with things in a suspicious way, and they're all getting better and better at it. Anyone can get a message out now, or at least anyone can make it feel to themselves like they're really getting a message out, but there's no way to know if you're being throttled, there's no way to know if you're being put into an invisible ghetto, your reach being restricted to a certain group that will make it seem like you're growing, will make it seem like you've got an audience and have influence, but really, they could be shoving you off into an e-corner, an internet dumpster, in a way that will make you feel like you're not being silenced, so you don't get too angry, but at the same time, limit your reach enough that whoever's in control wants to spread, will spread further and have more effect. Is this happening, though? There's some evidence that fuckery's going on along these lines, and there's certainly all the infrastructure, everything in place someone who would want to do this would need to do it, but here's where we get to the core issue. There is no transparency. That's a problem in and of itself, even if this isn't going on. These sites have developed these tools, and instead of handing it to the users and allowing us to choose, okay, I want to filter this, or I want to filter that, I want to take advantage of this technology for my own benefit, but I want to be able to turn it off. What they've done is they've applied it to everyone. You cannot get rid of their master filter. There are quality filters and spam filters and things like that you can tweak, but pretty much any site I can think of has something in place that you cannot get around, and which is hard to keep track of. It's hard to understand exactly what it's doing. That is a huge problem. And a huge problem with that huge problem is that this is becoming normal. People are getting comfortable with it. People are becoming comfortable with it at a time when it is most important to not be comfortable, to get angry and to fight and to shout and to scream and to say No. And the reason it's so important is because you might be able to change the course of things. You might be able to shift the path social media is going down. I mean, look at this. Candid isn't the only site that Twitter has ostensibly copied. They've also ripped something off from Gab. Now, I haven't looked into this site properly. It might have its own issues, but one thing it does is give users control of filters. There you go. Word filter. You don't want a word to show up? Put it in there. We hear in the news about people complaining, oh, I've received misogynistic abuse. People are calling me a bitch. They're calling me a whore. They're calling me a cunt. Filter it. If you don't want to see it, you can choose not to see it. Okay, I wouldn't do it. But then this doesn't force me to do it. Only you if you want to. Twitter is doing the same now. It allows you to mute specific words from your notifications, as you can see at the bottom there. Cool. Go ahead. Add as much of that shit as you want, Twitter. Put the users in control of what they want to see. But the thing is, they've got the unavoidable filter as well. Turn off quality filter as I have, there is still another filter that fucks with everything and is incredibly annoying. And of course, it also means that if anyone up top does want to shift things, if they want millions of people to see a little bit less of one viewpoint, a little bit more of another, to shift the public opinion, they could. And there's nothing you can do about it. No way to check, no way you can see, no way you can turn it off. No. Fuck that. And let's say you manage to shift to another platform, one that isn't currently pulling this shit. If you're not against this kind of thing, I'd bet eventually it will just get to that point again. Right? How is someone not gonna succumb to going down this path once they have a platform that so many people use and they can exert influence and power over? These practices need to be hated. It needs to be a case of Jack or any other social media bigwig, go ahead and develop your AI tools and continue making those worrying Freudian slips, but be as transparent as you can and put it in the hands of the users. Let the individual decide. Let the individual check what you're doing. Because these platforms like Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and so on have so many users and will have so many users in the future. New sites, Candid might have tons of users in the future, considering how many people they have fucking advertising. The way these sites work shapes society. It has an effect, and rather than you having a responsibility to use that to shape it the right way, I think that means you have a responsibility to be as hands-off as possible. Don't listen to politicians like Stella Creasy trying to get more of a clampdown. Allow people to tailor their experience. If you're going to have a bot that generates a filter on its own somehow, let that be opt-in, opt-out. That kind of thing. We know you can do it, so do it. Don't force blindfolds. Don't force Twitter-colored goggles that make us see Twitter as you want it to be seen. Because I don't trust you. And why should anyone, given we know that governments want to meddle with social media, given we know that social media higher-ups have connections to social movements? Why should anyone trust these people to curate your experience, to shape everything you see with a filter? Again, I will say, no. Hands off as much as you can, as much as the law will allow you. Let us opt in, okay, I want spam filter only, or I want spam and profanity, or I want spam and abuse. Don't clamp it over our face, and let us check what you're doing. Obviously, I'm mostly talking about Twitter because that's the site adding all this stuff right now. But what I'm saying applies to almost every site I use for communication, all the big ones. This is a fight that desperately needs to be recognized as an important fight before it's too late. This time bomb has been allowed to tick along and develop for years with minimal resistance, with minimal recognition of the potential dangers. That was a mistake. Conversations that needed to be had apparently weren't. So now, if you don't like it, it's extremely important to let it be known and to be loud and say no. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.